All right, it is Marawa Moments. Portia Modise is my guest. Coming up later on, we do have Manqoba Mngqithi as well as Rhulani Mokwena, both coaches of a trio of coaches at Mamelodi Sundowns. We'll have the conversation. We'll make sure that any of your questions that you post through on our social media platforms is answered by the coaches. Open conversations is what we have, and we do engage, and that is why Portia is here with us, a legend of 100 goals scored. And remember, not too many in the world get to achieve what she's been able to achieve. She belongs to a very unique club of 100, and certainly as the first African to have done that at international level. So looking forward to conversations of that and a whole lot more. So do join us as well. The issue of Portia Modise, does she ever want to become a coach?
Yeah, but coach, but I don't want to be a head coach of any sort. I just want to be a development coach, you know, because I feel we tend to run away from that space, and that space it way needs attention because but still cultural semans, you know. So I want to be in that space, and I want to see, you know, me growing with these kids that I will be developing and watching their career, you know, it successful. Knowing Gucci, I was patient in the early age for this player until I see this player being successful. So for me, it's about having a long life in football than saying and you coach Melizwagale. So I'll stay longer in the development space than, you know, being a head coach of something.
No, but ultimately you want to become a head coach. I mean, you're not just an ordinary person. You are the Portia Modise.
You're right, you know, Prabhu, but you know, the politics of football, sometimes they make you not to be sure exactly what you want, you know.
But I know the last interview that we had with you, there was maybe I failed to dig out what the actual problem is, because for somebody as successful as you've been, who's given so much of yourself to the national team, why is there politics? Why does it always look like there are doors that are being slammed in your face?
Because I'm talking about the issues of women's football. You know, I need to say, even when we're not getting paid, we're getting paid. I can't say that, because at the end of the day, I know the situations I face when I go home. I know the abuse I get from my township. People thinking, Gucci, as much as they see me on TV, I need to live this life, and I'm not living it. Some of them, they have bad comments. I end up not being sure, Gucci, to be a footballer to go to TV in tech because if you can't enjoy it, it tends to be against you. Outside enjoy, outside Gucci in tech grand or because when I start to say we need to get paid, sometimes we take this as not as our career and we give it all. You know, some they'll go to school, some they'll say, I want to be a footballer. And can I get something out of it? You know, then I can have a living out of it. But if I will just donate myself, pray for free, naming funukbane dada prarop how naming funukbane carries top naming funukbane backyard. Why me must deserve losses into as a women's footballer?
Yeah.
Prarop.
No, you deserve them, but the problem is, why do people have a problem with you?
Because I say it the way it is, Prabhu.
So they don't like to hear the truth?
They don't like to hear the truth.
Even till today?
Even till today.
All right. What we mentioned before we had to stop the conversation earlier, you were still illustrating and telling us the fact that the COSAFA winning Banyana team that was down in Port Elizabeth were not paid at all, the entire tournament.
Barop, it's upsetting, Gucci. You're sitting there, you're seeing those girls, you know, doing their best, making sure, Gucci, they're making everyone proud in this country, you know, raising their flag high.
Yeah.
Then for free. For free right now.
Never.
Why Tina for free, Barop? Why Tina we need to accept that? Why? For in. And these kids, they can't even voice out, because when they voice out, Sasa they're not gonna give them a call up. Why?
But to tell when if they complain,
yes,
to show them and say that you are easily replaceable. But that is how people deal with problems. They say, well, if take it or leave it, if not. But But until when? There's a national team.
It's what I'm asking. It's until when, bro Rob? Because end of the day, we're coming from the corona situation.
Yeah.
We were in a lockdown. People, they were not working. You know, you getting that call up, now you're starting to think, maybe getting the grocery. Because bro Rob, some of us were living in Kukwini, Sishaya my goals. Then I know Gucci mean I'm a breadwinner kaya. Meleng buile kaya, and you're taking grocery. You're taking kabang mele bayas good at least banyana is over patal. Then when I go home, bro Rob, we need to ang patalo. Being big up in a family at the same time because they're starting to think maybe maling somewhere I don't share with them. And the women, they're not like that. We take responsibility. We do go back home. We don't forget where we're coming from. But then, at some point I end up not being able to buy myself a toilet. Then it was even worse being under 17 with the under 17 as much as they're in camp. Some of them are vaslap. And it simply tells you, bro, Bob, I want to toilet. These kids, they don't have also at least start painting was toilet something. Some of them they could buy, you know, their school things in their individually homes. Why about Patal and under 17? Why they under 80 for a payment while they're playing for the national team? Which is the right age for you to get paid?
The minute you work for something, you get paid. Even if you're working at the age of 12, even if you're working at the age of 15, the fact that you're working, playing is work. The fact that it's not playing. There's financial benefits that are accrued. We bought my big interview. There's about Hollywood bets and all sorts of sponsors that are starting to come in. What I'm saying is that if they are channeling money into women's game,
but you need to remember, COSAFA is really doing well, you know, to make sure these not countries, they're getting a run, you know, in this tournament each and every year, you know, also giving the opportunity for young kids, girls, under 15 to under 17 to the first team, because women's football doesn't have a lot of tournaments. And it's not a job here, COSAFA, to pay, you know, these players. COSAFA makes sure they get sponsors, they make sure the tournament takes place. The associations, they need to pay the players. But why the association doesn't pay the players? Why we need to donate ourselves as women, Rob?
Is there no, I can't even call it a union, but who stands up for the rights of women in the women's game at national team level? And I'm trying to think of a Portia Modise type who's going to be very vocal, but I think whether or not they're listening to her or not. There are a couple of senior players. I mean, Andy Ledlamini is there. You know, she's captaining. She's a vocal person.
You know, you could think that. You could think when you are a senior player, you have a voice. You will never even say what is the problem, because we as TV saying the problem is number one goalkeeper. And some players, they save themselves from that good. I love being that space. I want to show up about my talent. I want to achieve. I want people to know me, good I'm playing for Banyana Banyan. But then the challenges I have in Banyana Banyana, they don't satisfying me. But at the same time, I can't complain, because I know if I could complain, the same coach that also was facing the same problems as he was playing, not getting paid. We are in Rhulani and I is doing it to other players. Because I do believe, I was a coach, I will fight for my players, because I know how much I take from these players. I know how much they give. Especially, I know the background, Praropes, Pumaguyo, as women soccer players also. Why guys, they could tell their story about their background and the eBay, wow, this person needs to get help. Why can't you tell our story and being here the same, Prarop?
Was with that, I mean, we obviously had the very sad news as we were just about to come on air of, you know, one of the former players. Maybe you just want to quickly share that and just break it to our viewers.
You know, Prarop, Mokwena was a former player, Banyana. We once tried to help Umakosi, trying to get foundation donation. All of us, cancer, tumor cancer, he had something that was not really okay. We tried to help Uguti Atole, the best care that he could, and it happens on a Prapop. But then after Prapop, after Gonzagalan, because you're still going back to that poor background. Yes, people, they were popping money, so it was not coming to you, it was going to the hospitals. But after those surgeries, you need to go back home and And
treatment
the treatment needs to be there. But after you don't have money, no one cares after. It upset me in thinking, good, Gwenzagalani in the family right now. You know, Gwenzagalani, what is the help? What is the situation?
Because if it was difficult to get the money during the time when she needed the treatment, it's probably going to be worse now when she has to be laid to rest.
You know what is said? Those who played in Brarop, we wouldn't have money to take buses or cars to go and bury our former teammate. Because you'll start to say, let me talk to my other legend and see how we can really go and support Gabo Makose Deben. We can't even support ourselves. So support Angan. So support Angan.
But our solutions why come? Because you know, we've seen it. We've seen the tournament. I mean, I was praising players like Abo Salgado who were playing well, Abo Hilda who were playing well. And we've seen since the 2019 COSAFA tournament where 9 players have since and earning good money as a result of their talent. How many more women could have had the same but have been suppressed, Laimzans?
You know, and what was said, other European players, they were mad. Why these girls they're allowing to go and play that tournament for free? Why they didn't talk about it so bona they could try to support, you know, to talk about this thing which is not fair. But I could understand, like I said, when you still want to see yourself being part of the team that will go for qualifications of some sort, Africa Cup of Nations. You still want to see yourself being part of the team that will be playing the qualifications or Gagum Olympics. Because you know, when you start to voice out to me that today, even when I go home, I don't even know where I don't know. Because even when you're in camp, like I said, Malakon after months, months, so after 3 months or after 6 months. Like in Lalengujanawar, I have problems too. I can't even go to my neighbor because people are starting to ask themselves, Portia TV, you share 10 goals. Then why Then you start to get depressed, so as Valel. Because no one understands your situation. So as Valel. When I want this poster of the Kukuin, like I always tell you, Bob, then I needed to sell everything in my car. I couldn't enjoy my car. So enjoy near background, mama ngapa disabled. I need to make sure good mama mupila sharp. Enjoy today, can't you say player mode? Like it important for me to as a car or to change the situation I was living in Guyem Kukuin. Then I'm starting to think how many kids who are playing Kobanyana Banyanas living in that situation.
Or worse.
Or worse.
Yeah.
So how are we going to break those chains, Tina, if we're not going to get paid? Because I end up getting a depression.
And I understand why the depression, and I understand why the desire to hide yourself from the public, because there's expectation. And when you can't be seen to fulfill those expectations, then you start to feel like a failure. And that is why the rate of suicides, for example, is so high, is because you are not able to meet and match that expectation. What people see and what is reality are two different things.
It's true.
And when you can't, and it happens a lot with superstars, and when they can't, then they overdose and they take their lives or they attempt to kill themselves.
It's true. You know, I once even said, you know, I'll watch a lot of men soccer players telling their story. I once had man, I once had cars. You see, I wish not we had an opportunity to tell these stories, which I once being paid. My Malayams was focal, I was careless about it. We don't even stand a chance to tell any story.
Because there was nothing.
Because there was nothing.
Yeah, you started with nothing and you ended up with nothing.
With nothing again. I'm still having nothing.
So there was nothing to lose.
There's nothing to lose. Then this is me when I'm asking myself, Guti, Oba to achieve what I've achieved right now, the better attention from what I'm getting. Man.
So what must we do? What must I do here as Marawa TV and as a channel? Would you want me to go to Safa House and bring the president of Safa?
Please.
To come and sit here?
Please, Rob.
Would that be the solution?
Yeah, because he's the leader of women's football. Because you know, Prarop, when I heard historic classes, it's upsetting as to
Right.
All the women that are running women's football, you're thinking they'll feel your pain as a women's soccer player. When you start to say, I don't have money to buy a toiletry, I'm not paid. Can you fight for us to be paid? Then they start to say you are a troublemaker, ukhuluma too much. Probably you need to stop, because kusasa sizokutosha. Then because you look at this person, you're thinking, if Megan Omtano or Ntombazana dali pola, Megan Zofuna dale for free, anga been a life, vele, adale free, afane nati. Or it's supposed to be different ngoba umtanaga mamri, Megzoba different ngoba umtanaga mamri. Things they were supposed to be different. Then when you start to say, when you lose your position as Safa, then you start to say, enough, it's enough. It's been enough for us. We've been crying out loud to you. Uguti, can you help us to get better? It's enough. As a woman, can you fight for us? But now I'm starting to think, Braro, and I'm also puma because you're starting to lose the powers. Uti, enough, it's enough. The abuse needs to be enough from women. Why now? Because you're starting to lose position. You're going to say that if you're losing, we are not losing a position. Because I don't think you were going to say that.
Exactly. But that is why, for me, it becomes important. Remember when there was an acting coach for a very long time? Babamdal,
yes. Yes.
And we didn't understand why he was acting for so long. And why must he be acting? Why can't they appoint? Fire pressure. Right? And eventually there was a change and he became a head coach. Verapau came through and there was no problems that we could identify. The team was improving, whatever was happening. And then Desiree came in, again as an acting. So I said, no man, but why again acting? Why can't it be full time? And again, it was a fight. But eventually she became a coach.
Yes.
Now she is, coach of the year.
Yes, the best coach we have.
On the African continent, winning, breaking records, making history, etc. Then there was the issue of attire. The thing is, at times, when you tell these stories, people think you're lying. You guys used to wear leftover jerseys from the men's team.
Mrs. Tunga nokuthunga Togu number 12 utsikitsi kudonswe iplayer le Cameroon ale Copa selidabukile mina mele ngize nenaliti jo ngizolithunga lelo jersey ukuthi kusasa I need to be able to play ngale jersey leli. So even now Bafana when they sign the sponsor, I remember when we were wearing the jersey aslengayo, feel comfortable, but no, we can't get the sponsors because these girls, they don't look like girls when they're playing, they look like boys. How they change the attire with Nike, they give us the sexy attire, which is trippy. What happened in Lakok? Because one thing, Banyana was not part of the Lakok plan.
Right.
Then now they went to go play Kosafa. Now you're giving us the jersey, putting us Bonagali, Sising Amantombazan, Sibukani Sangati Singabafan.
So
what is the problem?
Those are not female jerseys.
No.
That's still men's jerseys.
They created our own design, which we need to attract sponsors. We need to stop to look like guys.
Yeah.
Then they created this nice outfit.
Yes.
Why la cocky fan bafana? Because people started to complain, why Banyana don't have a jersey. Because now you need to prove them wrong when we're going to play Ikosafa. You need to have that jersey. Because when you're busy saying in the social media that Banyana has a jersey, we don't expect to see the jersey to go Bafana. We expect to see ladies' jersey. Because you put us in your plans, and that we're part of those plans. But now you prove us wrong, or let's see jersey Bafana. You think we don't see good. This is a men kit. It is a men kit. Then under 17 still plays with the Nike jersey.
So there's a problem.
Then there's a problem.
There's problems. So there is problems, and that is why SAFA head honchos were watching, and we're going to be knocking on your door because these have been ongoing conversations for too long. And I think we've realized now that women's game has gained so much on the field of play. And that is why the exports are so many and are happening because of the ability of the ladies to play the game. And if there is a problem, SAFA, come through, articulate what the problems are so that we understand if it needs to be understood, or otherwise deliver, or otherwise bye-bye, ship out. Maybe the office is too heavy, it's too big, I don't know. But This can't be an ongoing conversation. We need to start focusing on the professionalization of the women's game in this country. Talk about the developmental structures as Portia was outlining earlier, so that we are serious about the game, so that when we march onto an Olympic Games, we qualify into knockout stages, we gain ground. If we go to World Cups, we make an impact, and not just another African nation that is here. We can do it. You look at the investment that the United States of America did and made for their women after hosting the World Cup. You look at the difference that was made there. It was huge. And now they've got world superstars spread across the world playing football. But still, Tina, we're still squabbling about the same things year in and year out. It cannot be. Me, I give you my word that bazozala Portia.
Brarobu, kubhlungu ukubona amantombazana. You see the passion that they have, Joe, is too much. They could break the walls in career. But they happy, abeko happy. They just doing it. Ngoba they love this game. But if you have to sit with them. If I have another choice, Joe, ngaba ngikho la. You know, because I have a lot of responsibility that I don't even know how I'm gonna tackle my responsibilities. Because sometimes I get to a situation where I don't have money to even maintain myself. I'm even scared to tell people because the abuse that I will get, people not understanding my situation. Because they think I'm getting paid. It's sad, Brarob. It's sad. Like, I can't take it. I can't take it, and I can't lie about it because I'm thinking the same Portia Modise on 100 goals. Hey, Jong, salvisi life yami. Hey, ngisalwa nayo. Namanje ngisalwa nayo. I'm starting to think lona on 10 ongibona yathi uPortia role model yami. One thing ngifuna ukufana no Portia. Yini le ngizomotivate mina. I need to motivate this kid. Good, take your career very serious. Play football. I'll be silly if I will do that. They must go to school. They must go to school and plan a better things for themselves. Not they must play this thing for fun for now.
Unless like Abo Jermaine and Abo Jane, who are able to get those international contracts. Up until then, there is a hope and a desire, because I mean a gift is a gift, Portia, from.
All right, and we need agents.
Yeah.
I can tell you, all the players, most of them that went overseas, they have agents that they never speak to them. They speak Skype. Skype. This agent doesn't really know your dreams because this agent, what he does, travel. But we need proper agents that will also take care in a grassroots. There are lot of women soccer players that see the same faces that we normally see. There's a lot of talent down there, but we don't get agent because the agent is in we don't get endorsements because what is it that we bring?
You sounded disappointed by reality.
Yo. Because all I believe all the women that they've run the space, they really failed us. From 2000, Joe, you know, we had best players that they played for Banyana. Still fighting for one thing. We have presidents of a vice president of women, you know, in South House. But for which are you a vice president for what? For us, are you fighting for women's game, or you're a vice president just general?
For yen.
For when? Because when you say you are a vice president of women's soccer players, and I need to have a plan which each and every year I need to see Banyana improving. Their payments needs to change. From what I've fought for, for that, good I'm fighting, good is Cholimali. I haven't changed that much. So I'm starting to think good for Bono, good by but they are scared. But we're having women in the structure, you know, that they need to stand for women's football. They need to have dreams to say, in 5 years to come, we need to be able to compete in the Olympics. We need to have a structure of a development. Because it's not even about Banyana. We have clubs, before banyana amantombazana that they need to be maintained good le banyana izokwazi ukuyenzeka. Coaches, they taking money out of their pockets to feed us players, making sure ukuthi mina as a player ngiyakwazi ukuyorepresent banyana. Then after that, coach spending imali yefamily yakhe to make sure ukuthi is running that team yamantombazana, I still go and donate myself for banyana, not getting nothing.
Doesn't make sense. But COSAFA treating you right?
Mamela ngibonga the respect, you know, for them to make me really feel special and see ukuthi I'm really a top player in Africa. You know, making sure ukuthi I always tell my story, you know, motivating all other kids out there, and be part of the tournament, you know, making sure ukuthi I'm scouting the talent. You know, for me, I feel blessed because I do believe ukuthi without them also giving me this opportunity, I'm not sure good na malesin komeng zuitatapi after this COVID. I'm not sure ukuthi na meng zuitatava. But with them involving me in their space, nginayo imali. So that is why ingangihlali kahle ukuthi laba badlalile ke laba bafaka so much effort in that field to make us proud as a nation. Badlala mahala.
Asishintshe leyo. Portia Modise, thank you so much as always. Your honesty is touching, it's sad, but let's make a change. And I promise you that we will bring the people who hold office to come and account.
I think it's about time, and I'm just going to opportunity all the time, you know, to share these stories, because at some point these stories, they need to be shared. And I also want to ask my coach, you know, something to Israelis. I played with Nompumelelo Nyandeni, we were the youngest players in that team when we started in Banyana. You know, he did so much for the country. As much as you feel good, you can't use the player, you know, to these big qualifications. Just give Nompumelelo the 150 caps. She deserves it. She deserves it. Like 140, then you chase the player, 149. Le1 now, Oishele, Le1. Asim guy, Joe. Then after you say, Mpumi, it was nice working with you. We celebrate Nompumelelo. She deserves to be celebrated. She's been breaking record too. He's been loyal for this country in that Banyana team. So for me to see such players, knowing good they contributed so much, then we don't celebrate them. One cap gave me one. Besuti Nompumelelo, Siabonga, besu the country knows good that girl has been part of making us proud in this country. I'm asking that. And I'm sorry if you show something that it's not okay, but no, for me, be sorry. Those are I do views. Believe Gucci, it is okay. Gucci Nompumelelo, we need to celebrate Nompumelelo Nyandeni. It's not every player that gets to achieve what is been achieving. We need to recognize that.
It makes perfect sense. And let's hear if your voice will be heard, and it will be a fight that we do fight. And like I say, Portia, thank you so much indeed for popping around. Really enjoyed the conversation. As hurtful as it was, it needed to be out there. As we said, after the break, we introduce two gentlemen tasked with defending Sundowns' crown this season. That is Coach Mngqithi and Rhulani Mokwena.
This November, Buyer's Guide is back with an all-new season. And we're going to do something a little bit different to give you all the motoring advice that you need.
That's right. If you're looking at selling your old vehicle or buying a new set of wheels, why not send us a video? Very much like this one. Add a few shots of the car, buggy or SUV in question, then pop us a video to Buyer's Guide at ignitiontv.co.za.
That's the all-new series of Buyer's Guide, only on Ignition TV.
Hi, this is Robert Marawa. Welcome to our brand new home on Ignition TV. It's DSTV channel 189. Catch every single premiere every Tuesday at 19:30 as we bring you all the Marawa moments. Don't miss a beat. Right, as we said, we switch things up, we change tact, and we invite the coaches here to the studio for the very first time. They make their presence felt right here on Marawa TV. It's Coach Rhulani Mokwena, it's Coach Mngqithi, coaches of Mamelodi Sundowns. Gentlemen, good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Rob. Thanks for having us.
You strong?
Good evening, Rob. We are happy to be here.
Yeah, I know what Portia was talking about would probably have knocked you guys back a little bit, you know. So not a happy beginning, but you got to talk about these things and try and get them out as well. But settled into the new season, gentlemen, both of you?
Not yet settled. Yeah. But we are happy with what the team is looking like so far.
How would you like it to look like come match day 30?
Position 1. On the lock would be nicer.
The way it is right now?
Even better in terms of the points.
But position 1?
Yes.
Definitely. All right. Nice. Well, they said he's the return soldier, which ultimately he is. Coach Rhulani, I'm sure you've settled long ago because familiar faces, but maybe different approach here and there. How would you describe your return up until now?
The return has been positive. The environment has been extremely welcoming. Of course, as you said, a lot of the people and the staff in the background are people that we worked with extensively and quite successfully also in the past. A lot of good human beings within the playing squad are still there. Hlompo Kekana, Dennis Onyango, Kennedy. They're still part of the furniture at Glorkop, and when you do have familiar faces, it allows for the adaptation, or the new adaptation, to be slightly smoother.
And when you talk about that adaptation as well, you know, for a long period, and Manqoba will attest to this, you know, having to work with the one coach, you achieved the success that you did. And now it's almost like, I don't know, I might be wrong, but when it comes to the requirements to achieve the success that Coach Manqoba has spoken about now, and you know, you've got a Kompela that's now joined the team, and the two of you are working as a trio. I mean, the two of you are here present, but you're working as a trio. You've been able to get that sorted and not ironed out. Ironed out makes it look like there were problems, but just to adapt and adjust. New voice, new individual, but a familiar person in terms of coaching.
There's two aspects to that, because I think for us we always discuss this in relation to the trio, and as surprising as we find it within the South African environment, or how much it has been labeled as how can they work together with 3 coaches. But the reality was, when we had Coach Pitso, there was already 3 coaches, and there's not much that has changed with regards to that. And of course, Coach Pitso brings on with him a lot of experience, a lot of passion, a lot of character that helped the environment to achieve the success that it achieved, and we can't downplay his contribution to that. But the reality now is that it's a new cycle, it's a new regime, and it's one that, because also of the characters of the 3 of us and the close working relationship, the close off-the-field relationship that we have amongst the 3 of us, we've got certain strengths that we know each other's strengths, but we also know each other's weaknesses, and that allows us to be able to work very well together. So we've adapted, but and it's been good so far, because to be honest, we work with 2 very good human beings. Apart from just being good coaches, they are 2 very good human beings.
All right. I think just keeping it current again, you would have been proud with what you would have seen today at international level, Bafana Bafana, where, you know, players linked to Sundowns, one currently still with Sundowns and one who was at Sundowns, scoring a brace of goals as well. What is your reaction to that?
That was really encouraging. From the starting 11, when you see the number of players that one has worked with and the atmosphere that they present to the team, the work ethic that they bring to the team, because it's not like they are there because of big names, but they work very hard. And to be crowned with 2 braces from our players, it's really very encouraging, and it also speaks volumes about what Sundowns has done over the years.
Yeah. And when you see a Thapelo Morena starting a game at international level, and you rewind time and you go back to the time when he got the injury, where we were all just like, my goodness, is life ever going to be the same for such a talented player? And his adaptability has been so great, and then gets to start at national level.
He's a very good professional. One is not surprised with his coming back and the condition that he's looking like, because he gives his everything towards it. Yeah. It's the same story with Villa. When they get injured, you feel bad as a coach, because they give everything to the game. And now Thapelo, when he's back, we are all proud. But honestly speaking, it starts with their attitude towards their work and their level of professionalism towards the programs that are given either by the physios, the biokineticists, and the conditioning department. So one is really proud to have professionals like those who are really giving everything to the game.
Coach, I think let me get your thoughts and opinion about that. Like I say, it is international week coming to an end, but still keeping that focus then, keeping a focus on your players. I know initially Kermit Erasmus was not able to make it because of the injury, but had been selected as well. Just what's your take on what we've been chatting about now with Coach?
Well, when we got back, because we gave the players a couple of days off just after we played Cape Town City, when we got back, we still had a huge number of players in the media room, and one of our starting points was we are very unhappy with that. We are unhappy that we don't have more players that are representing the national team, and of course we've already got around 12 players on international duty. But we'd like to see more, and that is the Sundowns standard. The standard of Sundowns is to get the best players into the team, but the best players that represent their national teams also. But it was good to see, in fact, even with the last 2 performances, the consistency, the input that they have with regards to carrying the national team from players that are still with us currently, like Thapelo. Lyle played extremely well today. Modise came on as a sub and did well in both games. Shishi has been fantastic. Musa very stable at left centre half. And then the players that were with us, Percy, continuing to shine, has scored now 12 goals for the national team in 25 appearances, which is fantastic for him, and really speaks about his courage, his commitment, his personality, his bravery, and his hard work and his passion for the game. And Bongani Zungu comes in and does exceptionally well in the first game and starts this match, and you can see the influence and the maturity that he has. In fact, he's probably one of the few players that I know that still watches every single match that he plays, does corrections, sends me clips and says, "Coach, what did you think about this moment? I made this pass. Do you think I could have made something different?" And is very analytical, extremely conscious of his performances, and this is what investment does. You grow and you become such an important asset for not just your club but also for the national team, and it's very good to see.
Yeah, and obviously the first game down in Durban, he came in, changed the complexion of the game, and then scored a wonderful goal as well to seal the victory there for the national team. When you look at the numbers game now, Coach Manqoba, and people would have seen, 14 or so players that you were able to sign up for the season, saying that, does that lead to you forcing yourselves to trim the squad somehow? Or given your task, where you're playing on the continent, where you're playing cup football, where you're playing in the league, that whatever it is that you have, you're okay with? Yes, I know 1 or 2 players have gone, Ali's gone down to KZN, etc. But numbers-wise, are you looking at trimming more from the squad?
If it was not for purposes of training and making sure that everybody is happy, because everybody wants to play, everybody wants to play a role in the team, one would keep everybody. But let's be honest here, we don't want to be unfair to to human beings or other people's kids, because everybody wants to play, everybody wants to participate. But when we are going for a match week in and week out, and you are always left out, it's not looking good. We are doing our tactical preparation, you are outside, you are not training, it's not looking good. And at times it stigmatizes the coaches, and you start saying, hey, maybe Coach Rhulani does not like me, Coach Manqoba likes me. Maybe Coach Manqoba does not like me, it's Coach Steve who does not like me. And you start creating unnecessary perceptions that ends up making life difficult. It's not about liking and not liking, but the reality of the matter is we've got a bigger squad, and we have a responsibility to try and have a happy team or a happy camp, so that everybody who is part of whatever that is happening knows he's got a responsibility to play. But when you are not playing week in and week out, no matter how good human being you are, but you start feeling negative, you start feeling, hey, these people don't care about me. And it's not supposed to be like that. And that is the most unfortunate part. The truth of the matter is, we, like Coach Rhulani has said, one is blessed to work with a lot of very good human beings. And you do not want to lose such people.
Yeah.
You do not want those people to start to be negative, but be honest and say, are we going to use all of them? If no, why do you keep them? Are you not being malicious now? Because there are maybe other teams that might be interested in some of these players, and we know they can still contribute. But the truth of the matter is, it's an evolution of a team. We've signed a lot of players, and to be honest, even those players that we have signed, under normal circumstances, you would still want to bring other young boys from the academy to come and add value to the team. And you've got a big bulk of players that you must deal with. So honestly, we are in a situation where it is important for us, if we are good human beings indeed, to make sure that we allow people to go and play where they can still add value.
Absolutely, because that lends itself to, even if they're still part of Sundowns, but they're playing active football, and you can get them back again depending on what the contract is. And I know sometimes people say they are very restrictive contracts. You know, like if you send a player to Maritzburg United and you say, okay, you've got the player, but he can't play against Sundowns, for example. Is that something that is still common cause or common practice when you do send those players out on loan?
Well, I think those are more administrative issues, and as much as we're aware of it, these are not our focal points. I think, like Coach Manqoba says, ours is to focus on managing the squad and making sure that we do what's best for the team to be able to achieve results, because ultimately that's what we are there for, to achieve results. And we were speaking about it even the other day, that in terms of research, because structures, big organizations now have specialists, and then you increase the capacity of the human resources. You know, you have more and more people now in organizations. For Sundowns, for an example, not only are we tasked with just managing the playing personnel and the playing squad, but we've also got to manage the technical team, which again is also filled with very good people and hardworking professionals who specialize in their roles. And reality is, from a research perspective, leaders can only influence about 25 people, direct influence, and get direct contact with those people. And once you lose direct contact with people, you then lose those people and they start to branch off. And that's something you don't want to start happening in an organization. And particularly when you've got to manage group dynamics and lead everybody towards one common vision and common goal. And that is why it is so important that we keep the squad to a manageable size. And for us, not just for that, but also in terms of creating the culture that we want to create and having this impact on everybody at the club. It's important that the squad is manageable and everybody feels like they add value and they're important to the cause.
Well, you dangled the carrot for me when you say manageable squad. I like numbers today. I don't know why. What is a manageable squad? So tell us something.
Yeah.
But besides the manageable squad that the coach is talking about, we have a responsibility. If you look at the players that are representing Bafana from Sundowns, and the players that may not be playing at Sundowns because of the numbers that we have, if we allow players to go out and play somewhere else, they also stand a chance of adding to the number of players that are helping the national team. Because when you are going to have some good players who may not be playing at club level, it becomes very difficult. Let me give you a very simple example. Musa Lebusa is one of our key defenders.
Right.
And he has done very well for the club. But this season, because Ricardo Nascimento is doing very well, Madisha has done very well, we've conceded only 1 goal this season. How do you then change Ricardo so that you bring Musa Lebusa to play? But the same Musa Lebusa is expected to perform for the national team. And Musa is very close in line in terms of him playing maybe as a second or third defender within our last line. But how many other players in the midfield, for instance? You've got Andile Jali, he's a national team player. You've got a Hlompo Kekana, is an international player. You've got a Rivaldo Kutsie, is an international player. You've got a Lebuhang Mabue, the list is endless, and a Sugar Mabunda within that space. If you say Sugar should not play, Mido should not play, because Keke, AJ and River are playing. But these players, the national team needs them. The coach of the national team needs these players. So that is the balance we have to strike. And at times, believe you me, all 3 coaches would say, no, we don't want this player. No, we don't want this player, because we are talking about very good boys here. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, if we were really good human beings, we must open these opportunities for boys to go and play and enjoy the sport that they chose. And be it's our issue of manageable squad, but on the other side, we have a responsibility not to be bad people, not to say, because I like you, Coach Rhulani, I know I'm not going to use you, but I want you around me. It's unfair. It's unfair. And we are talking about very good boys here. Some of the boys who have done exceptionally well for the team. And you would want them to go and play, and there is always room to come back and help Sundowns at any capacity, because the president is a very generous person, and the president really rewards people that have really worked hard for Sundowns. And that is the challenge and the dilemma that we are dealing with. But in terms of numbers and what we need at this stage, it's very difficult, because with COVID as well, you always found wanting as to I want to have my normal 25 or 27 or 28 infield players and 3 goalkeepers. But what if all 3 goalkeepers are COVID positive?
Yeah.
So we have that balance that we have to strike. And Coach Rhulani was very right to say we want to have a manageable squad. We want to try and make sure everybody is happy more than anything else. And how do you then make sure that everybody is happy when you know there are people that are most likely not to play if we don't get affected by COVID?
Absolutely. And that is, I mean, that's added to your already difficult job, having to manage this pandemic and what it means, because almost every club in the PSL got affected one way or the other. And how you dealt with it was, again, a huge challenge to say, okay, so what does that mean to an Anele Ngqongqo who's part of the team, or an Anthony Lafort, or some of the players that haven't really been playing regularly or been part of your matchday squad as well? Is how do you keep those players happy? How do you bring them into the mix? Because on the one hand, they're not playing, and then, one of the common questions that are popping up here on the timeline is like a Maluleka that comes in. The plan for him, when he was brought in, what was the thinking behind it?
Well, the thinking was, of course, because he came in as a player that was available in the market, one of the best central midfielders in the country at that time. And when players like that are available in the market, I think with the ambition that a big club like Mamelodi Sundowns has, and of course with every window there's that opportunity to strengthen the squad and make sure that the squad is stronger. and not just stronger with regards to numbers, but also the quality and the depth is important. After the window, in fact, in relation to when the club starts the window, you know, and that's the most important thing. So I think that was the view of the club in terms of the recruitment, because the recruitment policy is very clear. And when the club goes into the window, the club goes into strengthening the quality within the squad and increasing the depth. And that's what George brings. George brings a wealth of experience. He brings not just a quality in relation to the technical side of the game, because everybody knows he's got a very good range of pass. He passes short, he passes long for possession, for penetration. He plays a lot for verticality, and you can see that it has been something that has been coached in him in his previous regime and under previous coaches. But he's got very good set play delivery, and he can help you a lot with dead ball situations, whether from corner kicks or lateral free kicks, etc., etc. He also has something that I think not a lot of people pay attention to. He's got this relentless desire to regain possession once it's lost. We call it hunting. He hunts for the ball, and he goes out to make sure that the team has the same amount of energy without the ball as it probably has when we have possession. Yeah. And over and above that, he's a very good professional, a good human being, and a very, very hard worker. And we are fortunate that we have that sort of profile, a good football player who so happens to be a good human being with us at Mamelodi Sundowns.
But also one that I've picked up in time is very keen on his own individual fitness. So when you are that kind of player, and I see a lot of the players at Sundowns go the extra mile, and you can actually see it in the performance, including Mngqithi as well. It's not just about what they're getting at training at Lorco, but it's also about how do I keep my engine going longer and faster, and they go for that extra. And George, I think, also fits into the category.
They set a good example, because we speak about that. We speak about George, Mngqithi, but the domino effect of that is that Mkhulisi now also starts to adopt the same sort of mentality. Keletso starts Promise. They also start working on investing a little bit more into their careers, and this is why setting a culture in an environment is so important, and a working culture. A working culture will always impregnate success. You are very close to success if you have people that understand the values and the principles of working extremely hard, and that has been the ethos. The secret, if there is, behind Mamelodi Sundowns' success has been that underlying relentlessness, that hard-working mentality, and a culture that has been set that says we work extremely hard, we value our profession, and we work extremely hard. And I think it is now deep-rooted, because even the young ones that are coming from the academy, we've got some young boys that are training with us now during the FIFA window, and you can see they have this mentality of doing extra work and investing a little bit more. But it starts with the example that Mngqithi sets, Keke sets, Dennis sets, Mido sets and understands, AJ sets, and these are the examples that you want to see these young ones adopting. And the good thing is they understand the benefit and they see the benefits, and then they are able already to start to adopt these at a young age, and then the next generation of Sundowns players, and you can easily maintain the success, because it's now become a culture, and it's so important for successful organizations to have a culture rather than short-term successes that are reliant on energy and personalities. Cultures are deep-rooted, and they help you sustain your success over a period of time.
Yeah, I know one of the most respected fitness trainers out there, Vusi, Black Freka, has been, at the heart of making sure. And it sets an example, though, because if you see Mngqithi becoming and winning awards, becoming a part of a successful Sundowns, and as a young player, you see him, whether it's on social media platforms, doing the extra work, and it also says to you, my goodness, so maybe that is why he's successful. It's not just about the gift or the training at the stadium. Serene, you're staying, or what's cooking?
What do you know?
I know that Al Ahly wanted him. I know that there was $3 million that was put on the table, saying he must go to Egypt. But I know that, from what I know, He's still in Chlorkop.
Yeah, no, I think that is a management issue.
Yeah.
Us as coaches, we've got a responsibility to work with the team that we have in front of us and make sure that they give their best shot in training and in everything that we are doing. And unfortunately, at this stage, he's got an injury. He's not been training with the team as such. As to whether he stays or goes, I don't think that is really much of our problem. We would want him to stay, obviously. He's a very good player, very influential to the team. We know what he's capable of. But if he feels strongly that he wants to leave and he makes us uncomfortable with his desire to leave, I also think it will be unfair of the club and us to want to keep him. But one would prefer to run away from that space and leave it to the administration. And they normally make very good decisions when it comes to dealing with player movement, either coming or going. So we can't now doubt them that this time around they will make good decisions. Obviously, they will consult with us, but we also have a responsibility not to make people unhappy around us. So it's a give and take situation. As it is at the moment, I would say he's staying with us because he's with us.
Yeah. Okay. And you'd want it to be that way. And this might be an unfair comparison, but when you talk about the depth of players that are available to Sundowns, and unlike you look at the contribution of a Samir Nukovic at Kaizer Chiefs, who now when he's injured, his absence speaks volumes. And you're saying part of the success, or almost winning the title last season, was largely due to him and what he was doing in front of goal. You don't have that problem within Sundowns because whether X player goes or not, your extra cover is enough to close that gap almost immediately. Or am I wrong?
That is what Coach Rhulani was trying to say about the club having a responsibility to always reinforce with quality in every position. And it's an ongoing process because football always evolves. And the team has got a responsibility to make sure that we forever have the right player to assist us. Not many people have two top international, or maybe three top international goalkeepers within the team. And we know what all of them are capable of. And we have a responsibility to try and find a way to play all of them. But at times it's very difficult. But we don't want, when Dennis gets injured, you are left with somebody that is not as experienced. So I think the club has done that exceptionally well. But one also must also go back to maybe the previous talk of Themba Zwane, the work ethic and everything that they give into the game. I'm really interested in that one because normally in South Africa, most players, when they are talented, they think that is enough. And unfortunately, the way that Coach Rhulani normally puts it, when you are playing for a when you are playing for a big team, hard work is the foundation first. How much are you prepared to work as hard? Naturally, big teams will employ you because of your talent, but how much are you prepared to really give it your best shot and make sure that you give extra in everything that is being done? And he has made mention of a lot of our top players that really are setting the trend for all the youngsters that come in. The Hlompos, he's been a captain for the team for all these years and is persistently working very hard. And the good thing is that even when he's not playing, you can see him mentoring the other players that are coming in, and that is the attitude. That is the attitude we had even in the past. We had Ezrom, we had Surprise Moreri in the change room, not playing enough, but working very hard to make sure that the team keeps winning. And the moment a senior player does that, you are always warm as a coach because you know you've got the right person around you. And Hlompo is one of those guys. And a senior player that is selfish and not want others to also get a chance. Because at times it really looks unfair when you see Mngqithi playing against Cape Town City and Hlompo Kekana is out. But when Hlompo, because Hlompo is a good professional, he knows why Mngqithi is playing, why he's not playing, he's not starting that match, and he supports the youngster and he supports the team. You want to keep that senior player. You want to have him around you all the time. But the moment you start seeing elements of negativity from a senior player, you always say, hey, the best thing is to let go and continue with those who are still prepared to work hard. But one is privileged to have some of our senior players who may not be playing regularly. There were times where AJ was outside, but he still supported the team. There's times where Keke is outside and he supports the team. There's times where even Ricardo at some point was outside and he has to support the team. We have that responsibility. Langaman is not playing now and Lyle Lake is playing. He has to support, because the moment he starts to become negative, he's not good for the change room, and nobody is going to accept any situation like that. And believe you me, it's very difficult for coaches to want to keep a player that makes the change room to be not easily manageable. But so far, one is very happy with what we have.
Yeah, I just wanted to squeeze in the Paramani Mahlambi, scenario, that being that talented footballer, having caught the eye back then, of the Egyptian giants, and he went and he came back, trying to grasp or trying to be a part of the team now, given the player dynamic. I won't say it was failure, because he still remains a talented player. If he's no longer going to be part of the team, where would you say he would have fallen short?
I think it's clear when we speak of a player like Upaga, for all of us to see the talent. It's undoubted. He's got very good, what I call weapons. He's got very good weapons. He's got very good speed. His acceleration of the mark, can play behind the defense. He causes a lot of problems with those sort of characteristics. But the reality again is it is evidence that talent alone is never enough. You can be the most talented football player in the world, but if you don't carry certain other supporting elements to your game, particularly when you play for big teams and when you get into environments where it really is cutthroat and you've got to perform consistently week in and week out, and be in an environment where you're competing against top football players who invest a little bit more in their careers, the general outcome and the obvious outcome is that the ones that do more, because the playing fields are quite even, they're all there because of their talent. But the ones that invest a little bit more, the ones that go the extra mile, will obviously get bigger rewards, and that's just unfortunately the situation, and these are principles even of nature. Of course, we move a little bit away because of technology and the evolution of society and things that used to be the central focus in life have now become part of the periphery, and the peripheral focus in the past has now become the central focus. And a lot of people forget about the process, the amount of investment that one has to put in, the hard work, the sacrifices, and these sound very old school, but because of social media now, and we lose a little bit of self-introspection because we spend a lot of time on Instagram watching other people's lives, we forget to do a lot more work on ourselves. That has changed a little bit the profile of even some of the athletes that we produce, and sometimes the reality is it starts with the self. It starts with understanding, accepting the amount of talent that I have, because, and I always say this, that to whom much is given, much is expected. A huge amount of talent needs a huge amount of discipline, dedication, sacrifice, hard work, because it has to be in equilibrium. Otherwise, you find a lot of sad stories with different outcomes. And it's unfortunate that with Upaga, that so far has been the issue. But we have hope. That is why we've only sent him on loan. We have hope, and we realize the amount of talent that he has, and we have hope that there is still something that can still be produced from them.
Absolutely. As I always say to you, gentlemen, in different platforms, it's always a privilege and a pleasure to talk football with you, because that is something that you live, breathe every single day, and we learn every time we have these conversations. And I want to thank both of you for taking the time as well. I mean, I've been monitoring the social media responses to everything that you guys have been able to share with us here, and it's all been very, very positive. People enjoying the kind of content that you've been able to bring out, the perspective that maybe at times in short little post-match interviews you're not able to give and explain as much as you are. We want to thank you for that, and yeah, we look forward to perhaps seeing another star on that jersey, and seeing you back here with trophies and have more conversations. Manqoba, Mngqithi, Rhulani, Mokwena, thank you both for coming through.
Thank you very much, Rob, for having us. We really appreciate the moments that we spend with you, and also to help and educate our society where possible, and also to try and clear some mist with regard to some of the decisions that we take, because people at times think coaches are malicious, but at times you have to take some decisions for the benefit of the person that may think you are malicious, because you are trying to help him to see something that he may not be seeing at that time, and we really appreciate that.
Coach, thank you.
Rhulani,
thank you so much indeed for being part of the conversation. Until next time, thanks to Portia, Modise as well. We'll try and solve all of those problems. Thanks for being part of Marawa Moments. Guys, let's get out of here.